Hello and welcome to the writing classroom. We're here so we can reach our potential as writers and together we can weave wonderful words. We are going to be finishing off our letter this week and soon we'll be starting a new unit. But as we work together, you've got to remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get better, and it's really important to remember that I'm teaching you structures. I'm teaching you ways to mimic and copy, but underneath that, you can now start taking risks and being creative. And the more words we have, the more things we can communicate. So let's get started. We're getting to know each other really well now, so that's brilliant. So here we go. My name is Mrs. C, if you don't know that already. And another thing to say that's really important right up here is we need to work in a certain way that's quite lickety-split. So pens up, think at pace, jot quick, writing's ace. And as I read your work every day, I'm starting to see trends and patterns in your writing, the things that you find easy, the things you find tricky. And there are tricky things that I ask you to do, but we have high expectations here. I begin to see patterns from around the globe, and that's really interesting for me as well, because I can then think really carefully as a teacher about the things we need to have come back again in short burst chunks so we can keep practicing them and get better. Okay, so what are the times you need to be aware of? Well, you don't have long. You have 45 seconds to jot. Some of you I know are chatting, where you chat and jot, and that's great. And then I give you a minute to look at my ideas. You can borrow them, you can add them to your list, you can audit your own list and decide which ones you already have. You can start starring words and think, I might use that. And then you have 3 minutes to write. In that 3 minutes, if you write exactly what you've been tasked to do, and there is time, but only if there is time, you're allowed to deepen the moment. And when we deepen the moment in non-fiction, like this unit is, we want you to stay within the shape of the writing. So if the shape is about acknowledging how the felt tips feel, then we need to stay in an acknowledgement shape. Staying on that purpose, staying within that meaning. Okay, so who has made it to my celebration board? Well, it is popping off today, let me tell you. I've got 3 people to celebrate. First things first, this coming in from Joanna Roddy, that's mum, and she's shouting about, thank you Joanna, Lily M. Lily M goes to Barrack Parade Primary School and she wins the Precision Prize. It really is wonderful how she describes the scents and the fumes of the felt tips. Look at this. The brown smell of warm melting chocolate, good enough to eat, and the pink smell of perfumed roses with dewy velvety petals warming in the sun. Really precise language. Well done, Lily. And I want to have a big shout out, please, to Be Sure, who's a teacher in the teacher squad, who is making gorgeous storytelling stones with all the little crayons mentioned from the book The Day the Crayons Quit, which is our inspiration for the day the felt tips quit. And there's somebody else I want to celebrate, and it's a teacher and her children in her bubble. This is Holly Milgate, and Holly Milgate, quite frankly, is a stunning music teacher. She is very loved for the work she does at Sproughton Primary School, and Hannah Ruth, who's her friend and colleague, is one of her biggest fans. Well, this school and their children and Mrs. Milgate, well, they found themselves on Radio 1 singing with Rag and Bone Man. Wow! Take a listen to that. Mrs. C doesn't often listen to Radio 1, but I was boogieing round the kitchen singing This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine. Oh, it was superb. There's so much love and positivity happening out there, and I can feel that. And thank you to all those people for your love and support. Okay, who's made it to the stack? Well, we've got Lucy, she's 8, and Janine Daly has sent this in. Lucy, can I just say thank you? And I mean it. You've taught me a new word this week, redolence. It means fumes. It means the way something smells. You can use it positively or negatively, but you tend to use it positively. Your work was stunning. Amina in year 6, this is so brilliant. Look at this. It makes the whole reason that we were caught smelling the pens so much because we couldn't resist them. You know, thirst quenching orange, the rose and pink were a floral fantasy. And Laura, well, you've really showcased that you understand suffixes. Thank you, Martina, Mum, sending in Laura's work. All the sniffing was very thoughtless and rude. Well, your work really is improving. What are we going to do today? Well, we're going to get ready first of all. We're going to cut a piece of paper in half by folding it. We're going to draw 2 lines over here to make 3 learning chunks. Cut those in half. So over the lesson you have 6 word banks. Off you go, everybody. Right then, let's get going. Every time we write, we have 3 reasons to write. They illuminate our thinking, and around the globe, we have home classrooms, we have real classrooms where people have got their hands on the writing rainbow. The writing rainbow is a taxonomy. It is a frame of all the things you have to think about. It's a mind frame. It supports your ideas. Mums, dads, teachers, if you haven't got a writing rainbow, you can get one from the trainingspace.co.uk. So, what is going to guide our work today? Well, we're going to pick this lens up about purpose. And this is where we're thinking about the final call to action. We really do want to urge, this is our last chance to get them back. Then we're going to put them in a position and we're going to ask a question of them to do some soul searching. And then finally, we're going to finish with some very emotive adjectives. Now, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow we are finishing our map. It is our last section tomorrow. So this is the penultimate section and we're here. We're on poetic projection. This is where we talk about envisaging a future with or without them. And it's almost trying to put the decision in their court. We really want them to consider our future together. So here we go. We are moving now to Learning Chunk 1, Word Bank 1. And we want to actually impress on the felt tips how much we appreciate them. So we're thinking about a really big, bright thank you. Really bright. The sort of things I'm thinking about are words like vivid, bright, brilliant, a dazzling thank you, a glistening thank you, a colourful thank you. But I really want to hit it home. I really want to show them that I'm remorseful, I've learned from the error of my ways, and I want other words for big. A lot of people say a big thank you. I'm going to use a shadeometer to do some thesaurus thinking so I can collect words on that family. Let me show you my shadeometer here. I've written down the word big. And then I've also written down the word humongous. And I know there are many words that could go in between those words. Many words where we could turn up the intensity. In fact, those words that mean more in size. I'm going to give you now some jotting time because I think you're going to be really good at this. Off you go, jotters. Great. Now, have any of you got this word? Colossal. Great if you've got it. If you've not got it, would it be nearer to big or nearer to humongous? Remember, the shadometer is about intensity of language. Because this is about size, it's almost like which words feel bigger. Do you have this word? Hefty. Don't worry if you don't. I'd like you to think about where you might place that word on the shadometer. Off you go, audit and adders. Great. There's some really good words there, and actually I think you might have words that I don't have. Have a look at your list now and put a star by the ones that you're feeling a connection with. You think, actually, I might want to use that in a moment. I might want to say a huge, dazzling thank you, a massive, glistening thank you, a colossal, kind thank you. Okay, let's now move to thinking about something else that's really good preparation for writing. Now they've walked out the felt tips, we need to show them that actually through all of this term, they've been really loyal, they've been very dedicated, and they've helped us every day. And I want to think about actually words where we can talk about their positive qualities. Words that mean they have been really good helpers to us in the classroom. The sort of thing I'm thinking about here is I could say that they've been really dedicated to their work of colouring in. They've been really invaluable particularly for things like art lessons, diagrams and cards and fun arts and craft activities. They're two good words. I'm going to challenge you, jotters. Can you come up with 3 that mean they were a really good help to us? thought of another word, particularly because it's one of my favourite colours, orange, and I've been using that a lot in the classroom lately, and they have been really devoted to all of the artwork they've done. I'm going to add some more to my list now. You can borrow mine if you like any of them, and if you've got your own ideas, make sure you add those too. Off we go. Oh, really good words there. And then I got confused. I put a size word over here. Right, let's move to writing side now. And you're going to see me think out loud. You're going to see the thought process of the writer's brain. And there's words I'm going to reject. And there's going to be things I improve. I want the felt tips to really feel now, and this letter, can you see how we started with the I pronoun? And there were certain things I personally had to say. I had to say sorry properly, but when I was trying to pull them back, I was going for the more global we. I wanted to represent the whole class. Look, we all feel like this sort of team ethic, the togetherness. So I'm going to continue now with the we. So I'm speaking for the whole class. We want to say thank you, but we're not just going to say that, are we? We want to say bigger, better, brighter. We want to say a bright, big thank you. We want to say a dazzling, huge thank you. Let's test some of these out. I want to say a huge, bright thank you. A enormous, sparkling thank you. They're all good, actually. So it's size and sort of colourfulness. We want to say a huge, dazzling thank you. Don't get tricked with thank you, it's 2 words. And then I'm going to talk about positive qualities down here. For your dedicated service, for your hard work and commitment, for your loyal service, for your devoted, you get excited sometimes when you write and you miss out words. For your devoted service this term. And I'm going to add some more on here because remember, we are persuasively trying to get them back. So I'm going to drop in an and here and hope you will come back soon and hope you can come back soon. Will and hope you will, that's better, will come back soon, full stop. I'm going to change back because I want to impress on them that we're working together and we're a family and we look after each other, and we're actually really regretful that we'd hurt them and hurt their feelings. So I'm going to change that. to, and hope you will come home soon. Okay, writers, impress me with your colourful language, your size language, and I'm really looking out for that final clause of temptation. Off you go. Brilliant. Okay, I'm also on the lookout, and I also want to tell you, I really do notice when you've deepened the moment. Also, don't worry if you haven't deepened the moment. Taking your time on what we're trying to craft and construct is always worth it as well. So we're moving now to Learning Chunk 2, and I want to do something a little bit different that we've not done before. This is in Word Bank 1. I want us to personify the felts. I want us to use verbs about the felts to humanise them, to give them the movement of a human. I know the felts will be moving around pieces of paper, but I want to collect verbs so I can imagine not only are they moving around paper, they are moving around different landscapes. And how they might move around those landscapes might be actually influenced by the landscape. If the felt tip is colouring in water, then they might be splashing or swimming or diving. If the felt tip is colouring in a ski slope, they might be skidding and sliding. So I want to think about what humans do in different landscapes. I'm going to write down a couple of ideas here. I'm going to write this idea, jumping. jumping off a diving board, skidding down the snow. They're my 2 ideas. I think you're going to be brilliant at this. I want human, moving words. Off you go. I've just had another idea about an environment. If I'm thinking about an ice rink, what about this word for human movement, spiralling around the ice rink? Or what about this one? Do you ever get really excited and go and have a little dance in the garden? And then I was thinking about other ways to dance. And what about this? Pirouetting in the garden. Oh, they're 2 extra ideas. Can you now add more to your list? Now we're going to think more about the landscapes and the environments, all the ways that felt tips pop those environments off the page because they help us colour things in and make them look accurate and bright. I'm thinking about pyramids. Now, I want to, as part of the persuasion, really lure them back saying, we need your help. Can you remember when you walked around the pyramids? Can you remember when you climbed the mountains? Can you remember when you spiraled around the ice rinks? But I also want to use really positive, evocative language for these environments. This is the sort of thing I mean. If I take the idea of a pyramid down here and the desert, but particularly the pyramids, I want some positive adjectives. What about this? Ancient pyramids. Or the mighty pyramids. For mountains, I'd want something positive as well. What about magnificent? Oh, that's good because it's got a little bit of alliteration at the beginning. Magnificent mountains or snow-capped mountains. I'm going to hyphenate that so the reader reads it together. Ice rink. Somebody taught me this. It was a child on our last unit. Glassy ice rink or glistening ice rink. Okay, off you go now. And what I want you to do, Jotters, is think about one environment, just one. Choose one. And can you come up with 3 or 4 positive adjectives? Off you go. Okay, what I'm going to do now is add more words to these environments. What I'd like you to do is choose another environment. Maybe you have three like me, and we're looking at very specific, applicable adjectives. I've had another idea about pyramids. Breathtaking, breathtaking. It's one word, breathtaking. The breathtaking pyramids. Off you go, Audit and Adam. Okay, when we move over to writing side now, I'm going to challenge you to drop in an early persuasive device, an adverb to gain their attention and agreement, actually. And I'm also going to challenge you to include three environments or landscapes. So this is the sort of thing I mean. The adverb that we could start with to gain agreement is a traditional persuasive strategy. Words like evidently, surely, words like that, plainly, clearly. I'm going to use evidently. I don't know, surely. Let me start that, and I might change it. Surely, and now I'm going to drop in these verbs. A verb that starts off this sort of crossover between all the actions of the felt tips and kind of personifies their movements through the landscapes. Surely, and how I've got to do this as a writer is choose my environment first in my mind and then think about an appropriate verb. So I'm going to choose an ice rink. Now I've chosen ice rink. I could have spiralling. I could have skating. I could have skidding. I actually could have pirouetting if I was good on skates. Let's have a go at doing that then. Surely, skating around. And I'm not just going to say an ice rink. I'm going to put in a positive adjective. Skating around a glassy ice rink. Now, remember I said we're going to have three different environments. I'm going to put in an or to drop in my second environment. And my environment, well, I want to choose a forest, I think. Something really green and bright, very different from the ice rink, really lush and rich in green foliage. Or a glassy ice rink, or now, I could make it wider than just the forest. It could just be just beautiful green and fields. Maybe, let's have a think. If I choose something green, I could have walking around. I could have racing around, running through. I might need to think about my prepositions as well. Or I'm going to put or stomping through. Or stomping through green, lush I'm going to put landscapes because I want to think about not just forests, just lots of different green parts in the world. And my final one is going to be snow-capped mountains. Yes, so I can choose some of my skiing and skating, and actually you could roll down a mountain, couldn't you? And skiing. 2 eyes in skiing there. Skiing down snow-capped mountains, magnificent mountains. I like that. I like the alliteration of that. Magnificent mountains. And then this is where the persuasion comes in. Is much better. Is better. They're both good. Is better than being slung in a cupboard and being forgotten. Being flung in a cupboard. Being chucked. Yeah, that sounds really disrespectful. Is better than being chucked in a cupboard somewhere. Oh, cupboard. I'm rushing now, making mistakes. Somewhere, question mark. It's me urging them. Look, consider where we can go together in colour. That's better than just quitting and going into a box in a cupboard. Writers, I want this big rhetorical question. I want you to start with a persuasive adverb, and I want you to suggest 3 positive environments. Off you go. When I read your work and I'm asking you to be creative and add in powerful description. That is when I can really see your talents and your thinking. So I can't wait to read that section. Let's now move to Learning Chunk 3. And in my new spelling book, that is for all different ages to improve spelling, and that's going to be out soon in the summer term. A lot of the work in there is about asking children to think about proving or disproving hypotheses. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something like that. I want to see how you get on with it. I've got these words down here, and we're thinking about how the felt tips might feel if they are chucked, flung at the back of the cupboard. Words like this: bearable, pleasant, and important. Now, can you see that these are all quite positive? You feel important, you feel loved, you feel wanted. I want you to see if all of these words, and that's the hypothesis, all these words can take the prefix un. Now, I want you to test that. This is the sort of thing I mean. Un means not. So I'm going to choose this word, wanted. If you feel wanted, you feel special, people are being kind to you. If you feel unwanted, well, that is a word, and that makes it negative. So that word definitely can take the prefix un. Off you go, jotters. Test the hypotheses. Okay, let's test this out. I don't think we need an audit and add for this bit. I'm just going to see if these words all work and are real words when I add the prefix un. Bearable. Let's add un. Unbearable. Unbearable. What about used? Do you want to be there, left, unused? Imaginable. Well, if you were left alone at the back of a dusty shelf, it would be unimaginably hard for you, I'm sure. Unimaginable. That one works. Loved. Unloved. Definitely negative. That works. Unpleasant. Don't get tricked with pleasant. Remember I said that last time. A lot of adults get that vowel wrong. Unhappy. Well, we definitely know that's a word. Unhappy, unimportant. These are good, aren't they? Unfair and uncertain. So we have proved the hypotheses. All these words can take the prefix un. They can take positive words and turn them negative because un means not. They are not wanted, not loved. Okay. Let's now move to word bank 2 and think about adjectives. Adjectives that are also negative and describe their plight if they're not with us together, if we just discard them. So the sort of word I'm thinking about is words like forgotten. You don't want to be left alone, forgotten about. They're my ideas. Jotters, I think you're going to be really good at this. Can you add 3 more? I've thought of a really good word. What about this? Abandoned. It's really quite intense, really negative, left on your own. Abandoned. I'm going to add more now. And remember, when I add a word and you've already got it, tick it off. Because when you hand your work in, I can see those words that you've created by yourselves. It's almost a code to Mrs. C about where you're independently working by yourself. And it helps me make judgments about how to make the classes trickier or easier. So I can see what you're getting on well with. Off you go, audit and add. Brilliant. Okay, let's move to writing side now. And we're going to do something really different. We're going to take 3 words. This is even shorter than a short sentence for impact. We're just going to have 3 words: hanging, isolation. It really attracts the reader's attention. And this is the sort of thing I mean. I want us to do 1 or 2 things as a writer. I want us to either choose 3 words that end in the prefix "un", like a family. So the reader who reads the felt tips can see that pattern. Something like this. You might write, well, you'd look across these and think, well, I like unused. I like unloved and unhappy. So we could let them hang like this, unused. I'm going to put a full stop, or am I? Or do I want them to read them together? That's up to me as a writer. It's quite unusual, this device. I've got a choice. I think I'm going to put a comma, actually. Unused, unloved, unhappy. It's a list, just hanging on its own for emphasis. It's quite a poetic device. Or I can choose 3 different words, but I'd like them to be from this family where we haven't got the prefix un. What about, I like this, lost, lonely, alone, forgotten, abandoned, isolated. Well, they all work. What about this? Dumped. That just popped in my mind there. Dumped, rejected, forgotten, forgotten. Now, I know you can do that quite quickly. So I'm going to challenge you to do that quickly and then deepen the moment. I'm going to leave you on your own to deepen the moment now, because I think you're going to be really good at it. You're going to show me a moment here without a model from Mrs. C. And this moment is going to be where you think about creating more information for the felt tips about how negative and sad, and really think about detail, the detail of the dusty, dark cupboard. I'm going to leave you to your own devices, and that will give me a really good gauge about your learning and what you can do by yourselves. Off you go, writers. Is that all right? Okay, let's get going then. Let's read what we've collated and written today, and I'll be specifically on the lookout for really good deepening of that moment. Right, there was a little change I made here, and I just want to put that edit in here as part of the writing, stomping through green, lush landscapes. Right, I'm going to read my work back now. We want to say a huge, dazzling thank you for your devoted service this term and hope you will come home soon. That home acting like a really good persuasive strategy. Surely, skating around a glassy ice rink or stomping through green lush landscapes and skiing down magnificent mountains is better than being chucked in a cupboard somewhere. Dumped, rejected, forgotten. Now, I'm just going to read that back, seeing if there's any other problems. It's really important that you don't rush that editing process. I think that's fine. So, what I'm going to do now is ask you to get your stuff into me. And you know how to find me. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram. Make sure you hashtag English with Mrs. C. I read all the work that comes into me, and particularly on the lookout for impressive pieces that make it to our celebration board. I've invited my friend over tomorrow, Grandma. I don't know what time she's coming, so I hope you get to meet her. I've told her to try and pop in for the lesson because she can help us out, can't she? So, can't wait to see you tomorrow for our last lesson on letters. And I know that many of you will have a lot of fun actually posting those off to the felt tips. So see you tomorrow for our last letter lesson.